Time to talk a little Alex Jones, and one of Alex Jones's lawyers in Connecticut is going to have to appear for a virtual status hearing today. I'm talking about Norm Pattis, who allegedly revealed the confidential medical records of one or several Sandy Hook families to unauthorized individuals, and these are individuals who sued Jones for defamation. Now, that release of that information violates state and federal statute in the court's protective order. And this, of course, follows the recent $49.3 million payout that one family received in Austin, Texas. And speaking of that case, Jones's attorney, Andino Reynal, must also appear in court next week on essentially the same grounds, because during that Austin trial, Reynal accidentally sent over Jones's phone and medical records to the plaintiff's team, and those phone records have already been submitted to the January 6th committee upon the request. Now, some of those texts include explicit photos of Jones's wife sent to conservative political consultant Roger Stone. That's according to attorney Mark Bankston. But to kind of give you a better sense of how that confrontation went down in court, let's listen back to the exchange between the plaintiff's attorney and Jones from last week.
Let's zoom in on the little article up in the corner. I'm going to walk over to this to you so we can kind of point it. I know it's a little hard to read. You may be able to read it a little better on your screen. But this is a zoom of Mr. Watson has sent you a screenshot from Infowars.com, correct?
It appears to be.
Yeah, and it has an article here, right?
Yeah.
And it says, staged. Video shows hospital using dummies in ER for coronavirus footage. Is that what it says?
I believe so.
Let's go to the first message from Mr. Watson. Read along with me, Mr. Jones. He says, this is a video.
Sorry, excuse me 1 second.
No problem. Take your time.
Oh, boy.
You ready?
Yeah, this, you may not think it's a problem, but it's a real one.
Sure.
Just give me a second. All right, go ahead.
Mr. Watson says, this is a video of a medical student training to intubate. Makes us look ridiculous, suggesting this means COVID is fake. Sandy Hook all over again. I read that correctly?
Yes.
Go to the next message. What'd you tell Mr. Watson?
I get it.
Mr. Jones, it's true that this article is right now live on Infowars.com. I can pull it up, right?
I've never seen this text message. I guess you guys got Paul's. My phone didn't save them. So that's fine with me.
Your phone didn't save this text message.
I told you guys I gave it to the lawyers and said they drained the phone, they didn't find that stuff. I don't know how my phone's.
You gave it to the lawyers. They were supposed to find it. So that's what your testimony is?
No, I searched it as well. I mean, so you guys have all this stuff and you say we didn't give you anything. It's ridiculous.
Mr. Jones, you know how an iPhone works, right? You've had iPhone text messaging for several years now.
Yeah.
What does it mean if the messages are in blue? Whose messages are those? Whose phone is this taken from?
I don't know whose phone's taken from. I mean, I turned the phone over and said, take the stuff off.
Can I have you look in the very bottom, below the very bottom left corner? Is that your phone number?
Yes. So you did get my text messages. And it said you didn't. Nice trick.
Do you know where I got this?
No.
Mr. Jones, did you know that 12 days ago, your attorneys messed up and sent me an entire digital copy of your entire cell phone with every text message you've sent for the past 2 years, and when informed, did not take any steps to identify it as privileged or protect it in any way. And as of 2 days ago, it fell free and clear into my possession. And that is how I know you lied to me when you said you didn't have text messages about Sandy Hook. Did you know that?
I told you the truth. This is your Perry Mason moment. I gave them my phone, and then...
Mr. Jones, you need to answer the question.
No,
Did you know this happened?
No, I didn't know this happened. But I mean, I told you I gave them the phone over.
Just
And
answer the question.
You said in your deposition, you searched your phone. You said you pulled down the text, did the search function, for Sandy Hook. That's what you said, Mr. Jones, correct?
And I had several different phones with this number, but I did, yeah. Well, of course, I mean, that's why you got it.
No, Mr. Jones, that's not what I have.
My lawyer sent it to you, but I'm hiding it. Okay.
Mr. Jones,
Mr. Jones, that?
please just answer questions. There's no question. Mr. Bankston also only asks questions.
Sure. Mr. Jones, in discovery, you were asked, do you have Sandy Hook text messages on your phone? And you said no, correct? You said that under oath, Mr. Jones, didn't you?
I mean, if I was mistaken, I was mistaken, but you got the messages right there.
You know what perjury is, right? I just want to make sure you know before we go any further. You know what it is.
Yes, I do. I mean, I'm not a tech guy. I told you, I gave in my testimony the phone to the lawyers before or whatever, and so you got my phone, but we didn't give it to you.
No, Mr. Jones. One more time. And please remember, if you need to assert the Fifth Amendment, you can. I need to know that you can do that. But you testified under oath previously that you personally searched your phone for the phrase Sandy Hook, and there were no messages. You said that under oath.
Yes.
And you lied when you said it.
No, I did not lie.
All right, let's talk about this. I'm joined also by criminal defense attorney Florina Altschuyler. Florina, it is good to see you. Thanks for coming on here. I'm glad to have you with me as we can talk a little bit about Alex Jones. First, let's talk about his attorneys, okay? First, we got one attorney sending over Jones's phone contacts and medical information to the opposing side. Then you have the idea that these attorneys had and possibly disclosed the confidential medical records of the plaintiffs in the Connecticut case. Are we looking at Norm Pattis and Endino Reynal as having some serious legal trouble at this point?
I'm not sure that there's any crime that they've committed, but I think they're definitely going to have issues with the disciplinary committee. I think they could potentially face either suspension or as harsh a penalty as disbarment. I would be surprised if they're disbarred, but I would expect at a bare minimum that the disciplinary committee would issue a censure letter and potentially even suspend them from practice.
And let me just make sure we understand this, because I've been hearing commentary that, oh, you know, this happens. Sometimes you send the wrong stuff over. Sometimes you have This is a little bit of an outlier, right?
This is this is a lot.
Yeah.
This is a lot of information.
Isn't it? Yeah.
You know, accidents happen, certainly. We don't know under what circumstances this was sent or why. This appears to not be intentional, obviously, because this is information that the attorneys were trying to keep from plaintiff's counsel,
right.
These text messages. I don't think they're going to face disciplinary issues for disclosing the text messages. It's quite the contrary. It's initially withholding them and responding to discovery responses to say that they don't have it when in fact they did have it.
Well, Matt, now let me ask you the other, I don't know, $50 million question, even though there's no real money with this, is the question I have for you is Alex Jones in trouble for perjury? You know, the idea here that he wasn't being entirely transparent on the stand. We know the judge herself said, Mr. Jones, you have to testify truthfully, because she caught him in apparent lies. This is a conversation I've had with every one of my guests, and I'm going to throw it to you too. Is he in danger of being brought up on perjury charges for allegedly not telling the truth on the stand?
Well, it depends for the very law school answer, if it were. The thinking being is that his testimony is based around evidence that was supposed to be protected by his attorney. Remember, under ethical standards, any inadvertent disclosure by an attorney to another attorney needs to be notified immediately. However, this evidence is being used in court, and Alex Jones is being asked questions that he's not entirely ready for, because he is not entirely sure that this evidence should be even presented in court. A prosecutor is going to have to argue, okay, perjury is lying on the stand. But can you lie on the stand with evidence that shouldn't be potentially admissible in court to begin with?
It's a good question. And look, you know, I think there's a lot of repercussions. And if you throw the pebble in the pond, there's a lot of things that are coming out of this. And that's what this trial is. There's going to be ripple effects moving forward.